In the lush kingdom of Umaga, where the great river Nwani flowed, there lived a woman named Nnena. To the villagers, Nnena appeared to be the epitome of kindness and grace. She was beautiful, soft-spoken, and seemed to always have a kind word for everyone. But beneath her charming facade lay a dark secret. Nnena was a powerful witch. Nnena had not always lived in Umuaga. She came from a distant land where her name was whispered in fear. She had been driven out of her village for practicing dark magic, a craft she had inherited from her mother. With her abilities, Nnena could manipulate the elements, summon spirits, and curse those who crossed her path. But her most feared power was her curse, a curse that caused her to bleed whenever she touched water. The blood that flowed from her was not ordinary. It was tainted with dark magic and could poison the very essence of life. After being cast out of her homeland, Nnena wandered from village to village, hiding her true nature and seeking a place where she could start anew. She eventually settled in Umaga, a prosperous kingdom far from where she was known. There, she began a new life, hiding her powers and presenting herself as a kind and benevolent woman. Nnena quickly gained the trust of the villagers with her beauty and charm. She married Obinna, the son of a respected elder, and became a beloved member of the community. But while the villagers saw her as a blessing, Nnena secretly used her powers to manipulate those around her, ensuring that her past would remain hidden. However, there was one thing she could not change: her curse. Despite her efforts to conceal her true self, Nnena knew that the curse would eventually catch up with her. She avoided water at all costs, making sure that no one ever saw her bathe or even wash her hands. Her husband Obinna was puzzled by her strange behavior, but he never questioned her, trusting her completely. But as the years passed and they remained childless, Nnena began to grow desperate. She had long ago forsaken the idea of motherhood, knowing that the curse made it impossible. Yet, she needed an heir, someone to continue her legacy and inherit her powers. And so, she turned to the ancient river spirit, Njideka, a being as old as the river itself. Late one evening, under the cover of darkness, Nnena made her way to the riverbank. The moon was high, casting an eerie glow on the water. Nnena whispered incantations, summoning Njideka from the depths of the river. The spirit emerged, her form shifting and shimmering in the moonlight.
Nnena,
Njideka said, her voice like the rush of the river.
I know of your dark heart and your cursed blood. What do you seek from me?
I seek an heir.
Nnena replied, her voice steady and colder.
A child who will carry my legacy and inherit my powers. But this child must be born free of my curse.
Njideka gazed at Nnena with ancient eyes, seeing the darkness within her.
I will grant you a child, but the curse cannot be lifted. Your child will inherit it, and the blood of the river will run through her veins as it does through yours. But beware, Nnena. If the truth of your nature is revealed, the wrath of the people will be great.
Nnena accepted the spirit's terms without hesitation. Shortly after, she became pregnant and gave birth to a daughter, Adeze. The villagers were overjoyed, believing that the gods had finally blessed Nnena and Obinna with a child. For a time, the whispers about Nnena's strange behavior subsided, and life in Umuaga returned to normal. As Adeze grew, Nnena began to teach her the ways of dark magic, preparing her to one day take her place. But she also warned her daughter to avoid water at all costs, for the curse would reveal itself if she ever touched it. Adeze, obedient and curious, followed her mother's teachings, though she did not fully understand the power she possessed. Nnena continued to maintain her facade as a kind and loving woman, but there were those in the kingdom who remained suspicious. Chief among them was Ezeaku, the king's chief advisor. Ezeaku was a shrewd and ambitious man who had long harbored doubts about Nnena. He noticed her strange avoidance of water and the way she seemed to have an unnatural influence over the villagers. He began to watch her closely, seeking evidence of her true nature. As the years passed, the kingdom of Umuaga prospered, but the rumors about Nnena persisted. One day, the village school organized a trip to the nearby lake. Adeze, eager to explore, asked her mother for permission to go. She reluctantly agreed, but sternly warned her daughter.
Remember, Adise,
Nnena said, her voice laced with an uncharacteristic harshness.
you must not touch the water. If you do, our secret will be revealed, and we will both suffer.
Idesi promised to heed her mother's warning and joined her classmates on the trip. At the lake, the other children played and splashed in the water, their laughter echoing through the trees. Idesi watched them longingly from the shore, feeling the pull of the water but remembering her mother's words. However, as the day wore on, her classmates began to tease her for not joining in. Chima, her closest friend, playfully pushed her toward the water's edge.
Adeze, don't be such a coward.
Kaima laughed.
It's just water. What are you so afraid of?
Under the pressure of her friend's taunts and her own curiosity, Adeze dipped her hand into the water. As soon as her fingers touched the surface, the water began to darken. Adeze pulled her hand back, but it was too late. The water around her turned a deep, unnatural red, as if blood had seeped into the lake. The other children screamed in horror as the blood spread, staining the water and sending ripples of fear through the group. Adeze, terrified by what she had done, ran home, her heart pounding with fear and guilt. When she arrived, Nnena was waiting for her, having sensed the disturbance in the air. She grabbed her daughter by the shoulders, her eyes burning with a mixture of fear and anger.
What have you done?
Nnena hissed, her voice low and dangerous.
I'm sorry, Mother.
Adeze cried, and
I didn't mean to.
before Adeze could finish, there was a loud knock at the door. Nnena's heart sank as she realized that the villagers had seen what had happened. She opened the door to find Ezeaku standing there, flanked by several villagers. His eyes were cold, and there was a triumphant smirk on his lips.
The truth is out, Nnena.
Ezeaku said, his voice ringing with authority.
We have seen the curse that you and your daughter bear. You have deceived us for too long. You are a witch, and your magic has brought nothing but darkness to our kingdom.
The villagers behind him murmured in agreement, their faces twisted with fear and anger. They had always suspected that something was wrong with Nnena, and now their suspicions had been confirmed. King Ekena, who had been informed of the events, arrived soon after. His expression was one of grave disappointment as he looked at Nnena.
Nnena,
The king said, his voice heavy with sorrow.
you have betrayed our trust and endangered the lives of my people. For your deception and the curse you carry, you and your daughter are hereby banished from Umuaga. Leave now and never return.
And Nnena knew there was no use in arguing. She had been exposed, and her time in Umaga was over. She gathered what little she could carry and took Adeze by the hand. The villagers watched in silence as they walked through the gates of the kingdom, disappearing into the wilderness beyond. As they traveled, Nnena's heart hardened. She had lost everything, but she still had her daughter and her powers. She vowed to one day return to Umuaga and take revenge on those who had cast her out. But for now, she would bide her time teaching Adeze the ways of dark magic and preparing her to carry on her legacy. In the years that followed, the kingdom of Umuaga would prosper, but the shadow of Nnena's curse lingered. The villagers whispered of the day when the witch and her daughter would return, bringing with them the darkness that had once threatened their peaceful lives. And so the story of Nnena, the witch who bled in water, became a cautionary tale in Umuaga, a reminder of the dangers of deception and the power of dark magic.